In this video, I'm going to focus on explaining the complex metric of impression share. I'm going to cover a couple of things of how to improve it, why it matters, and then what are some key things to look for when optimizing around impression share. Now, the reason why impression share matters is because it kind of shows you a couple of things. One, it shows you how much available inventory is out there for you to capture with your advertising campaigns. Two, it shows you how you're stacking up competitively against everyone else in the space. And another thing to consider is it kind of shows you how much you can actually scale your campaign. So it's a really important metric when optimizing search and other campaign types. My plan is to take you through the actual Google Ads interface itself, which we'll be diving into in just 1 second to kind of show you exactly what is impression share, what columns do I typically add, and then how do you optimize around it. What exactly is impression share? Now, impression share is the percentage of impressions that your ads could have received divided by the total amount of impressions that your ads could get. So the way I typically like to think about this is a pie chart, and it'll show here are the amount of queries that my ad was eligible to serve for versus the amount of times that it actually did serve. By me doing a couple things like changing my budget or by changing my ad rank, I can then influence how often my ads are serving. Now, I'll have chapters at the bottom of this video that you can kind of jump around and skip around to see exactly how to influence those. But that's exactly what impression share is. And now the next big piece is how do you influence it? So let's jump right into the interface and let's get it. The first thing you're going to want to do in the interface is actually enable the columns that show you some of the impression share metrics themselves in the actual dashboard. So if you click on the columns button within Google Ads, go to modify columns, you're going to then notice there's a competitive metrics section. Now there are about, I think 12 or 13 different impression share metrics. I like to have about 3 or 4 on at a time just to get a heat check of how things are performing, but you can really see a bunch of these different metrics and you can hover over each specific one to get an idea of exactly what does that metric do and what does it mean to me. For purposes of this video, I'm going to recommend that you enable 4 of them. The first one being search impression share, and we're going to go over these in more detail. The next one is absolute top impression share, and then search loss due to rank, and then search loss due to budget. So by you clicking those columns, it is then going to add it to your data set below. So now, depending on what columns you have enabled, you may have to scroll around to see them, but you see if I scroll over to the right here, I now have those metrics: search impression share, absolute top, loss due to rank, and loss due to budget. Now, like I explained before, search impression share is the amount of times that your ad served divided by the amount of times that it could have served. So in this top campaign here, which I have blurred out, but the metrics are still important and they're still relevant. In this top campaign, since July 14th, over the last week in this data set, my ads have served 28% of the time that they could have shown. Now, the next metric being the top, for the number one ad space on that specific channel, how often did my ad show on that top ad space? So this means less than 10% of the time that it served number one. And then the next two metrics are kind of like my levers. Like, what levers can I pull to actually improve my impression share? So one is the lost due to rank, which I'll go into more detail. And then 2 is your lost due to budget. So budget simply means I can just increase my current budget of my campaign to just push for more impression share. And there's about 50% more impression share where I can scale that budget and do that. The other side of it is due to rank, meaning my quality score, my ad rank, my website. There's a bunch of different factors that go into ad rank, which I'll jump into in a moment. But that's going to be the key factor in improving the actual impression share itself. Now, what is a good impression share? Back in old school PPC days, hitting 100% or as close as you could to 100% impression share for the bottom of the funnel keywords used to be my go-to strategy. However, over the last year or so, that strategy has changed drastically, mainly because with the introduction of smart bidding, I can now give a ton of available search terms and queries that are broad and start to optimize around conversions. So I don't necessarily care what search term you convert on as long as you are converting. Now, it may be a lower qualified lead on a lead gen website. However, it still could be valuable data. That's a different conversation for another time. But for purposes of this video, my perception is as long as we have broad match keywords and we have smart bidding, having 100% impression share is not a necessity. It is not required. The main goal is how do we push for as close to 100% impression share for the top converting keywords within our campaign. So that's the way that I tend to think about impression share today. All right, so how do you improve impression share? One, I alluded to earlier, is budget. In this campaign, you're going to notice that I am limited by budget. I'm going to have a video in the upper left-hand corner where you can see exactly other strategies that you can do to improve your limited by budget status. But because I am missing out on 54% of available impression share, I can simply triple my budget or 3x or 4x my budget today. And by me doing that, one action, I will begin to just push for more impression share. Now on this campaign, it's almost the flip of this one. Actually, it's eerie how close they are. But this campaign, I cannot push for budget as much here because I'm almost capping the ceiling on budget, but my rank is slightly different. Now here's what ad rank is specifically and what this column means for search lost is to rank. Now you can maximize this ad rank column here, the loss due to rank, by increasing your quality score. And the three components of quality score is your ad relevance, how relevant is your search term to the ad, landing page experience, how relevant is the landing page to the search term, and then your expected click-through rate. How often are people clicking on your ads versus the amount of times that they see it? And now there are other factors that go into ad rank, like the contextual content on your website, how fast your website is, the history on your ad account. There's a lot of different pieces that go in there, but quality score is one of the big pieces. So typically when I look at campaigns that have lost due to rank, I typically look at quality score first and how can I go about improving that quality score so I can write better ads, I can write more relevant ads, have more relevant landing pages. By me simply doing that piece alone, that is going to allow me to improve that loss due to rank. And then in this example here specifically, I can work on increasing my loss due to rank in this specific campaign, which is currently about 54% over the last 7 days. I can write either better ads, have better landing pages, or have a higher click-through rate. And that's how I'm simply going to improve the loss due to rank. The other side of this is you can just simply pay more. You can increase your bids by getting more aggressive. That's the other side of it. But as a PPC marketer who likes to be as efficient as possible typically with campaigns, just throwing money at the issue doesn't always solve things and is not my go-to route when you can just improve the quality of the existing ad copy. That is the route that I typically like to go. And that's impression share in a nutshell. There's a lot that goes into it. And as I've said earlier, my philosophy around impression share in general has changed over the years. 3 to 4 years ago, it used to be push, push, push as much impression share as possible. But my opinion is that smart bidding truly is an X factor if it is set up properly. Where impression share, not saying it's not important, but it's not as important as it used to be 3 or 4 years ago. What are your thoughts on impression share? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, we're on Discord, so there will be a link in the upper left-hand corner if you'd like to check out my Discord channel. Have lots of great marketers that I'm working on growing there, where we just hang out, talk about marketing, and what the cool things that the community is doing. Until next time, I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you guys have a great one. Thanks. Bye.